This is Junto, the engineer's perspective. I'm here with my good friends Matt Burgess and Dave Stewart, and I'm Corbin Buckler. Today we're going to talk about the food industry, so grab yourself a beverage, sit back, and enjoy the episode. Well, you guys know my topic.
You want me to have a topic right now? I don't have one.
I don't have one either. I was just kind of going to go off of yours, and I figured we'd take an hour to talk about that anyway.
I'm not planning to go over all. I was just getting a little.
Yeah, I just skimmed that. I figure I could talk about nasty, not nasty, but actually consuming these things, since you guys don't eat the non-meat,
right?
The plant-based stuff. Yeah, I kind of have the vegetarian wife perspective. I'm forced to eat it.
I'm more of the other people eat it. I don't really, but it's growing.
Do you have anything, and we may get to this, I may be jumping the gun, about actual synthetic like cells, like lab grown cells, or is it all plant-based stuff that you looked into?
No, I haven't messed with any of that yet or looked into it.
Okay.
You're saying like where they grow the meat?
Yeah. Actual cells. So it's like actually more similar to meat than, just plant-based things and a bunch of different things that kind of make it taste like meat.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if Beyond Meat or Impossible, one of those, I'm not sure if they do any of that or if that's all just a bunch of plant shit mushed together.
I know Impossible actually uses like yeast and modifies it to produce hem, which is like a part of hemoglobin, which gives it that, umami,
juicy,
bloody taste. Whereas Beyond is just purely plant-based.
Yeah, my topic's like,
it's more of a food process side of things.
Food industry, and then it's like the traditional, and then how plant-based is getting
popular,
taken off.
Yeah.
And it's more of like the liquid side, like the milks, the alternative milks.
Yeah, that's really busted onto the scene.
You got any topic, Dave, you're gonna talk about, or should we just jump into food?
Let's just jump in.
We can jump into food.
All right. So I'll start out. So a couple of the magazines that I like look into when I was at Shamball, I still kind of peruse them occasionally. There's Food Engineering Magazine, Dairy Foods Magazine. That I guess at this time of the year, they start talking about largest food and beverage companies based on food sales. So obviously a lot of these companies, they do other things, some do like cosmetics or beer or alcohol or something, but this is just looking at their food sales. So I'll talk about the top 5. So these are top 100 food and beverage companies. PepsiCo, number 1, $70 billion in sales. Number 2, Nestle. 3 is JBS, which I can't remember where they're from. Anheuser-Busch is 4th, and Tyson Foods is 5th.
Would Anheuser-Busch get wrapped into NBev?
Yeah. But I think Anheuser-Busch is the American.
So they break it out.
North
Okay,
American.
so this is just North America. Okay.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
Yeah, because otherwise I think Nestle would be the biggest, because Nestle's, huge worldwide.
You guys ever see the subreddit Hydro Homies?
Of course.
It just comes up on the main Reddit feed. Man, they hate Nestle. Hydro Homies is solely a subreddit about memes about drinking water. And half of them are just memes about shitting on Nestle because of all their awful practices. But sidebar, continue.
In the weeds.
I'll need to look into that. How they like pump wells dry in Michigan or something.
Yeah, all that awful stuff, and like also like their practices for like cocoa.
Oh
yeah, like child slave labor, pretty much.
Okay, top 100 dairy. So these are dairy specific companies. Nestle's number 1. They're huge. Saputo is like a big cheese and dairy brand. Dairy Farmers of America, which is some projects I worked on in the past. Dannon, North America, and then AgriPure is number 5. So those are some of the big players in the dairy side. And then, so this is all kind of traditional food manufacturers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's now it's like plant-based is the big thing, and it's growing. So like one of the trends, there's some report I was looking at. They're kind of estimating that the plant-based food market is expected to grow about 12% annually for the next like 6 years. Obviously, probably more than that, but and it's growing right now too. Also, the plant-based meats, plant-based milks, almond milks, oat milks. There's some I saw plant-based cheese, which I was just curious
that's
how the hell
gross.
that
I've
was
had
even
that.
made.
I haven't had it recently, but
Maybe
like
we melted it, so it was gross.
Dude,
Maybe if you just have it, it's okay.
I don't know, because I had it kind of melted too. I went to like a vegan restaurant in Indy and got some mac and cheese, and it was just like nasty. It wasn't right.
Dave, did it have a bunch of stuff on the package, like ingredients? The stuff you had?
I have no idea, to be honest.
Oh, because I was
Why?
looking into this a little bit. Well, I think there's kind of, I think initially when it came out, it was, I mean, it just has. I think they just engineer, just a crazy science project to try to recreate cheese out of plants. They'd use like soy protein, vegetable oil, yeast, nuts, tapioca flour, all this type of stuff to try to make it work. And now, and I haven't, I need to research this more, but they're trying to do a more traditional making of the cheese. Instead of using like dairy milk, they'll use like nut milks, enzymes, and salt, which is what they, in traditional cheese making, you just use milk, a starter culture of like bacteria, rennet, and salt. So I'd be curious, like if you did a side by side of the ones where they're more trying to be more traditional, well, the minimal amount of ingredients, a minimal amount of ingredients in these plant based, and see how they actually taste.
That could be like our next thing when we get together.
A charcuterie board of fake cheeses.
Instead of having beer, we'll have fake cheese.
and then we'll have all the good stuff still in the fridge.
Yeah, of course.
Falls through.
Yeah,
we can make a good charcuterie plate. So,
you never went to like a not faux, whatever we're calling these plant-based cheese plant, did you, Corbin?
No.
Okay.
No. But I was in a regular cheese plant, so I'm just I'd be curious to see how this like making it with nut milk would actually work.
How parallel it truly is, and how Frankenstein it gets.
Right. So some of the large plant-based food companies, I was just like a brief trying to find some of these. Oatly, that's the pretty predominant oat milk that you see in the stores. Beyond Meat, Hain Celestial, SunOpta, I think they also make an oat milk. Califia Farms, they also make an oat milk. Almond Milks, Impossible Foods, Amy's Kitchen. I think Amy's Kitchen, you see a lot of that stuff in like the frozen aisle.
No idea.
They make a lot of like the vegan frozen dinners and appetizers and whatnot. And then there's Corn Foods, and then Eat Just, which they do I think it's called like Just Egg, Just Egg. Have you seen that? They're trying to be like a
fake egg, egg replacement,
fake mayo, that type of thing.
What about like store-based brands? Like I've seen around here, Kroger has a lot of their own, plant-based meats. Are they using one of these companies, or are they actually doing it themselves?
Could be a combo. I don't know, but it could be a combo. They could maybe have some of those plants in house, and then some of them co-pack. That's what you call that. If Kroger didn't make it, they had like a Beyond Meat make it,
Yeah.
and then sold it.
How common and like ballpark? Obviously, you don't have anything in front of you. Is co-packing in like the regular dairy and meat industry?
Pretty common, I think.
Pretty common.
I don't know about the meat, but I know in dairy for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of companies that you would never recognize, and then they're making, the dairy products for, Kroger, Walmart, whoever.
Yeah.
But as a business, they try to start bringing that stuff in house, so then you can, remove a layer of
Cost.
Yeah. Well, actually, that leads kind of into a good point, or a good segue, on the plant-based side. So me personally, I've had experience with this oat milk phenomenon, and it's just going crazy. And I guess one of the leaders in this oat milk is Oatly, which is they're based out of Sweden. They've been around for a while, over 20 years, 25 years. And they're publicly traded, about $10 billion market cap. But they just went public this year.
Okay. I was about to say it was pretty recent, wasn't it?
Yeah. And they're basically, what they're trying to do is just convert your typical dairy customer to basically become a non-dairy customer. Try to convert them to oat milk. They also do other things, frozen desserts, yogurt, which they call oatgurt, and soft serve. And they're growing like crazy. They basically, in 2020, they doubled in revenues. And by I think they said in the end of next year, they're trying to basically double their production they started at like 20 million liters in 2013 and get to like 1 billion liters in 2022. So they are just like, so for their growth, they obviously can't build plants that fast to make this oat milk product. So they depend on, I think they said over 50% is co-packed, just so that they can get product out. And they said that's their problem. They can't make enough product.
So is it like done through traditional dairies? Can they, like, is there a major difference in process?
I don't know who would be making it for them.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying to stick to just the press releases, because there are things that I know that I probably shouldn't say publicly.
Deal. Won't get anyone in trouble.
But you just need to have like a batch mixer and be able to pour stuff into it, and then pasteurize it and store it.
So there's
probably a bunch of other companies that are able to do this. It's just the know-how to make it.
So right now the only entry to barrier is the knowledge of how to make it. There's no other like proprietary things that Oatly has.
Probably the sequence.
The sequence.
It's just the sequence.
But like,
and they might. I don't know. I've never seen their operations. They very well could have some proprietary technology that you can, some piece of equipment that I've never seen in my life.
Well, like even I think right now in my fridge I have a oat milk from Trader Joe's. Like, is Oatly really anything special, or are they just first to market?
I think they're kind of first to market. There are multiple players. Chobani's a player, Oatly, that Synopta, Califia Farms, even the traditional dairy people are, they're starting to get into it as well. I mean, that's where they're really going to be able to drive up production. It's kind of like, Tesla versus the traditional automakers. You got these traditional food manufacturers that just have the capacity, and then you got these new startups, and then the new startups can, potentially work with the traditional people to ramp up production.
Right.
Is oats...
and there are some companies that nobody know, it's not a consumer facing name, and they're just, all they do is co-pack.
Yeah.
And I don't even know what those companies are.
Yeah. Globochem doing everything under the sun. You've never heard of them, but
right.
Fuck, what was I gonna say? I can't remember.
But one of the things with Oatly is they have a partnership with Starbucks now. Like, they started that in 2020. So they're getting a lot of business putting oat milks in all their different drinks and whatnot. And their big markets they're expanding in the U.S. and Asia, especially China. They building a plant in Singapore.
I remember my question. This may be silly, but like, could oat be a limiting factor in all this in the long run?
Like the production
of oat, like actually like farmers being able to grow enough oats.
I don't know the background on oat production, but I guess. Well, I did briefly read an article today about, they offhand mentioned how, the West is in a bad drought.
Yeah.
And like most of the almond production is in California. And so I think almonds have taken a hit this year.
So everyone's going to be switching over to oat milk.
So almond milk is, I don't know if the production has fallen off or demand or whatever, but that definitely could be a problem. Oats, I don't know where oats are growing or
how water intensive they are.
Yeah.
I feel like they're not as water intensive as almonds. I feel like almonds are like the worst thing.
Yeah. So Oatly is interesting, and they just IPO'd. And then I was reading an article that Chobani may be going public in an IPO sometime soon at a potential $10 billion valuation, which would put them about equivalent to Oatly. And they're the traditional, they got, started up on the Greek yogurt and have just transitioned to all these other different products, flips, drinkable yogurt. They've got coffee creamers now, coconut and oat-based yogurts, oat milk, and now they're doing coffee, and the coffee is great.
How old is Chobani as a company?
That's a good point.
I feel like I started hearing about them, like, my gut tells me like 2010.
I was gonna say like college.
I'm gonna guess that they're like 05.
Yeah, you're right. 05.
Ooh, baby.
Wow.
Yeah, that's my one win for the day.
Look at them go.
Yeah, and they really started ramping up in like 2012. That's when they built the Twin Falls plant, and that's just it's a huge factory. So they went everywhere. But yeah, Chobani's they're a player in the oat milk market as well.
Why are they talking about going public now after 15 years?
Well, it's all right now. They confidentially filed with the SEC, so it's just a news article, and I don't think they publicly commented on it. So I think one of the rumors they said in the article was to get some like the early employees or investors or whoever get
them some money,
some liquidity. Yeah. Yep. So that'd be an interesting one. That'd be one I'd definitely look into a little more. And they also, Chobani, they just recently said they're going to paper cups on their oat yogurts right now. They're not rolling it out to all the other stuff.
Baby steps.
Yeah, baby steps. And but they're still, even though it's paper, they still have to have a little bit of plastic on the inside just to maintain like the product quality. So now it's like, can you even recycle those
but like
cups?
How much of it actually gets recycled in the first place?
Yeah, it's just virtue signaling.
You got that fully. And,
yeah.
But you got to start somewhere, and who knows where it'll go.
Yeah, you have to find a way to like integrate the plastic into the paper. I know that sounds super high, like because now it's a liner, right?
Yeah.
And it's a liner because like the paper just breaks down.
Right. So now, you got this like maybe you've got like, you know, what, 10% of whatever was going to be there just in the landfill and just, you know, taking 500 years to decompose.
Yeah, and that's still better than the whole thing, right? Like, I'm not
Yeah. Say you
saying that.
recycle 40% before, but it's all
Right,
plastic, and now you're not recycling anything, but it's 10%. You're still coming out ahead.
right. You're 30% ahead.
Yeah. Chobani seems they um tend to be on like the leading edge of just trying to like
Be
move in a direction, and then maybe other people will follow.
or are they're trying to be the Subaru of yogurt, you know, just that like green feeling,
Yeah.
just that brand loyalty.
Yeah. That's all I had on Chobani. I don't know. You want to get into something a little more technical?
Yeah, sure, why not?
So another article. I think this is Dairy Foods. They had all these magazines. You know, they do a plant of the year. Do they do these like Dave for automotive? Do they have like a plant of
Oh
the
yeah,
year?
oh yeah. Van
Yeah.
Dyke was 2018 Assembly Plant of the Year, and that banner's still hanging, still flying proud.
Never comes down, man.
Oh yeah, they'll fly them even if they're like from the 80s.
Right.
It's like a national championship. You don't take them down.
Just how many can you get? Well, so there's a new plant in Michigan, Midwest Cheese. It's a Glambia plant. It's in St. John's, Michigan. You know where that's at, Matt?
No, I
St.
don't.
John's, yeah, it's right above. It's right above Valpo. It's where
St.
the rich
John.
Chicago people
You're
go.
thinking of you're thinking of
St. Joe.
you're thinking of St. Joe. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's north of Lansing.
Okay, so it's middle of
Yeah,
nowhere.
sounds like a shithole.
Yeah. most shitholes are where a dairy plant would be located.
Is that just like cheap labor, cheap land, cheap labor sort of thing, or just like
Probably.
where the cows live?
Probably
I think
both.
all of the above.
All the above.
So I'm just gonna say what from this article, because once again I might know things that aren't in the article, obviously. So it's a huge plant, 400,000 square feet. Joint venture. It's Glambia Nutritionals. They're basically the operations. So they operate the plant, and then Select Milk Producers and Dairy Farmers of America provide the milk to the plant. Basically, the plant was built due to the excess milk supply in Michigan. And I read somewhere that they process 25% of all Michigan's milk. I don't know if I fully believe that, but that's quite a stat. They can process 8 million pounds of milk a day.
Pounds.
Yeah, which is a lot.
Wild. Yeah. No
So
shit.
if you take 8 million and so your typical dairy tanker that's going across the road, it can hold 50,000 pounds. But in Michigan, they can do what's called they're like whales. Basically, they can double that because Michigan doesn't care about their roads, so they'll let 100,000 pounds of milk go down the road.
It's like an axle thing, right? Like that's why
Yeah.
that's why you see so many trucks in Michigan. They're just like, oh yeah, let's have fucking 18, 20 wheels. It makes it fine, right?
Yeah, it does.
So that's 160 of the typical 5,000 gallon, 50,000 pound dairy tankers, and then obviously it'd be half that. But there's always a combo. You have a mixture of the super tankers and then the regular, and sometimes some in between. Some guys just like they'll custom make a dairy tanker and it'll be like 75,000 or something. So they were talking about in the article that they were praising 3D modeling, like AutoCAD, 3D modeling, and all that. Which that'd be a crazy file for that big of a plant. It's pretty useful when you have all these different entities that need to, put in pipe and electrical and underground, and you can all merge all the files together and see clashes and collisions and whatnot.
Yep.
But anyways, so the process is pretty interesting. So, and I don't know if they do this here exactly, but they bring, you bring the raw milk in to like a receiving bay. You got to store it in those big tall silos, and then from there, so this is a cheese plant. So I don't remember if it's a microfiltration or ultrafiltration. I don't really know. But they basically pre-filter the milk, and they can do it to remove bacteria.
Do you know the stat that differentiates micro from ultra?
It's just the size of the membranes.
Yeah, you know that.
And I think the pressure. I don't know what it is.
I thought you knew this shit. Letting us down.
This is why I'm not going to present anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't remember the exact, like, the freaking nanometers or whatever.
I was gonna say it's definitely less.
But basically, if you did microfiltration with milk, you're basically filtering out bacteria, which are pretty large.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do ultrafiltration, will concentrate the milk a little bit.
That's what I was gonna say. You have to.
You'll remove some water, along with some other stuff.
Yeah,
and that's actually good. Because if you remove a little bit of the water, now you have a higher casein, just protein concentration going to the vats, so you get a higher yield because you're not messing with so much water. So I can't remember. I don't know. I don't know what they do, whether they do MF or UF, but they did talk about filtration,
mm-hmm.
and I don't know. Maybe they do some other filtration, but that would be the one of the two I would think they do.
That's
then.
Is there a waste stream generated from that?
A waste?
Yeah, when you're filtering.
Yeah, there'll be like the permeate stream.
If they're doing like theoretically whatever that ridiculous number was, like what was it, like 800? How many pounds a day? 8 million pounds a day. Yeah. Like how much of a waste stream would that be?
Well, they so they talk about water reuse.
Okay.
And in dairy plants, especially when you have a lot of filtration, like cross flow membrane filtration, you'll capture that, and then you'll basically reverse osmosis. Use reverse osmosis to save the water,
mm-hmm.
and then you'll have an even smaller waste stream. So you'll still have some, you can't remove everything, but they try to recover, I think what they say in the article, 95% of the water.
So but, like before you go on,
so the milk gets
go ahead. Fuck me.
No, you're good.
So like we talked about the straining, or I'm sorry, the filtering. Like, that like Fairlife milk brand that's always like, 14 grand. Are they just like ultra filtering, and that's how they get a higher protein concentration?
They do something like that. I don't fully know what they do.
I know you don't
know.
Probably
They probably do ultra filtration.
Right. They're not actually doing anything different or getting any different milk. They're just like they paid for the better filter system or something like that.
Yeah, it's expensive. You got to buy the membrane system. You got to operate it over time. Yeah. It's pretty energy intensive. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying anything's free. I'm just the 50,000 foot view, right? I understand now why there's more.
And they might have another. Yeah, they're just removing some water. And then just seeing if consumers will like the taste of that.
Well, it's super good.
Like the white? You like the white Fairlife milk?
No, I've never had the white one. I only get the chocolate one.
Chocolate's not bad. The white one, get the white one and see what it tastes like.
Then we'll talk.
Come talk to me if you had it. Come talk to me. Damn, between your legs.
Old boss from Shamball, he said it was chalky, and I agreed with him. So then there's this typical dairy plant stuff after this filtration step, standardized, so you get like the right milk fats, because the cheeses, different cheeses take different milk fats. You know, they're making like American style cheeses, so like cheddar and Colby Jack and pepper jack and that kind of thing, and then pasteurized. That's all pretty standard. So, but the interesting thing, they make cheese in 40 and 640 pound blocks. So, like, you know, a Parmesan wheel is about 82 pounds that you see. Like, I think Costco has them, or
so you
wherever.
see on the TV.
So they make 40-pound blocks and then 640-pound blocks, and basically those just go to another plant, what you would call a converter. That would be like a Saputo. So a Saputo, I'm not saying they're taking these exactly, but they'll bring in blocks of cheese, and then they'll do all sorts of things: slice it, shred it, cube it, put it in their own packaging, and then now they market it as their own. So you could say like Glambia would be providing for private label, or they're co-packing for other people or whatever. Because you don't really see like Glambia branded, although they probably do have some. You know, you obviously don't buy a 40-pound cheese block either.
Right.
So then the process is they have these cheese vats. So it's like your pot on your stove. They go to these draining belts, which are these very automated, in a very automated way of how they add salt, and they could add like additional flavor. Like, I don't know if they could add like, you know, jalapeno or stuff for pepper jack or whatever. I think they can do it on those draining belts. And then the block formers, that's where they just create the big blocks, and they're just like these vertical columns, and they use gravity and vacuum and whatnot to form the block of cheese. But the interesting thing is, so you have this 8 million pounds of raw milk coming in. Usually you only get about, it varies, everybody thinks they're doing better than others, about like slightly over 10% yield. So only like slightly over 10% of that 8 million pounds turns into cheese, and the remainder is whey, which is just a liquid. And so they create a crazy amount of whey, right?
So like, wait.
Yeah, like 7.2 million pounds of whey.
Right. So for 8 million pounds of milk, you only get 80,000, or 800,000 pounds of cheese.
850,000 plus or minus, yeah.
And then you get a shit ton of whey, which they sell to protein powder companies.
Right. So this is just a crazy like
so there's a shit
mass
ton
balance
of whey in the marketplace that all these protein companies are just making a ton of money off of.
Right.
Because there's so much of it.
Right.
We're in the wrong game.
Actually, that's I mean I don't know this, but I'd have to look at their, because Glambia is a publicly traded company, but I don't know if they break out their financials that well. But they may make more from whey proteins than they do the cheese. One, that making the cheese is not that hard. I mean, the whey side, there's all sorts of other equipment, like the whey processing that they describe in this article. I mean, there are 12 filtration systems just for the whey side. And that's all it is. It's just like a crazy mass balance of, you take this whey, and it comes off in all different streams. You know, they might take, you get the whey off of the vats, you get the whey off of the draining belts, you get the whey off the block formers, and those all have like different little, some may have salt, some,
right.
You know, if you're in the vats, it doesn't have salt in it. If it's in the draining belt, it's got salt. You got to treat those things differently.
Yeah, like density is the wrong word, but they're all unique properties.
Right.
Yeah,
so they use these
mix.
Filtration systems. Well, they do all sorts of stuff, but they use these filtration systems basically to further concentrate the whey protein, and they make different products: whey protein concentrate, whey protein isolate, and they get that to a point where it's a liquid in a silo, using all these different, you know, they use a combination of like nano, ultra, RO. And so when you have all those, you have permeate streams, you have your concentrate and permeate streams, and all of those, depending on what you're trying to save, they're also getting water from the whey. So you're concentrating the whey protein down, and then you're getting rid of the water, and then the water is going through its own filtration system, and then that's getting captured as what they call category 1, which is all just like there's this legal document that tells you what category 1 basically for our purposes is potable water. So they're basically concentrating the whey down to get into its whey proteins. You're getting the water off, and then they spray dry the whey, and then you're basically, so this milk that you're bringing into the plant, you're getting cheese out of it, you're getting whey powder, and then you're getting a bunch of water that you can use throughout the plant to clean and push product around and all that kind of stuff. So it's pretty interesting. They use, they try to use as much as they can of the water in the plant.
So has Big Cheese just been pushing whey protein powder on us?
It always comes back to
Big Cheese. I don't know
that. It all comes back to Big Cheese.
Big dairy.
But like, did they have to like develop a market for this? Like, when did whey come on the scene? Like, I feel like, I mean, we're runners, so like, we don't remember it as well. But I feel like in like high school, like, was it?
Oh yeah, like football players, creatine and all that.
But like,
stuff.
How far back does whey powder go?
Well, I think it's pretty.
Go ahead. Is that your cat?
I think, yeah. I think it's within like maybe a generation.
That's what I was gonna say.
Like older, engineers, they say like whey used to just be a waste stream, and you would just like have to dispose of it. They do like put it on fields, spray it on field,
give it to the cows, stuff. Get some jacked cows.
Basically just like get rid of it. And now it's, recently, probably in the last, I don't know, 40 years or something, they've been turning it into
your cousins that are like 40 probably didn't have it when they were in high school, but I feel like since we've been around, it's always been available.
Plus like the technology to be able to process it. These, the crazy membrane systems now that, they've been also developing simultaneously.
Yeah.
So,
but I feel like people who aren't engineers don't think about like waste streams and like,
of course not,
looking to do things with waste streams, not just like reduce them, but also like find a way to sell them.
Right. Yeah. And actually, there's another entity. They said in the article that there's this other company, I think Proliant, that's across the street from them, and they get piped permeate from some part of the process, and they further do some things. So you could look. I think you could look up Proliant. I don't know exactly what they do. They're, I think, a nutritional company as well. The thing is, like these proteins, whey proteins, powders and stuff. Like, they're not only in like these GNC, muscle building type stuff, but they also are like food scientists use it to like for formulations of stuff, like to add additional protein to, I mean, it's probably, they add it to all sorts of stuff. You look at something that's got a label and there's probably whey protein powder in there.
So it's just
like
additional
a simple
ingredient.
adder. Yeah, probably doesn't add much taste or anything. It just is
add some protein, some calories, and call it good.
Right. Yeah. That's what we do as engineers. We take the waste streams and make them useful.
Yeah, but you gotta make them useful, like on your own time. Don't let your company do it.
But that never
happens.
Figure
out how to monetize it on your own.
Yep.
So is there is it so large? Do they have like economics of scale, like in the dairy industry? Like with some of this equipment, like what's the advantage of being large?
Good question. I mean, yeah, the economies of scale obviously are there, but um, it's this one. This is a joint venture. They've done something I think Glambia has done something similar in the Southwest. There's another big plant that does this. I don't know if they touch on this in the article, but there are such things as like they call them balancing plants, and this could very well be it for Michigan. It basically helps Michigan balance their milk supply because they can absorb. I mean, if it's true, 25% of all of Michigan's dairy.
That's probably like 25% is probably like a high watermark.
Yeah, that's probably like a high, like a record year or something. I don't know. Glambia is very big into this, into the protein powders. So, I don't really think I don't know if cheese is their main product. I think it's all about the whey protein. So you really do need economies of scale to get that much whey protein, like concentrate and isolate. One, you're going to build a huge spray dryer. That's like, I don't know how tall it is, 10 stories or something. I mean, it's huge. You need a lot of to keep that thing running along. Spray dryers, I think they typically run them like 3 days before they clean them, 2 or 3 days. I'm probably getting that wrong. But they run them multiple days. Normally, like when you're cleaning equipment, you try to do it every day.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you have to do it every day. So there's a sequence, that you're cleaning stuff, but a spray dryer, you can actually go a couple days.
Is there a company known for making spray dryers, and or a country known for making spray dryers? I feel like that's a very, maybe it's not. Is it a niche thing, or is there a need for a lot of spray dryers out there where there's a lot of companies doing it?
I think there are only like a select few companies that make a good one.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, New Zealand, they're kind of like I don't know if we want to say cutting edge, but like they're a big dairy exporter.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got a lot of dairy knowledge, and especially with spray dryers and things.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd say probably U.S. and New Zealand.
U.S. makes sense.
Europe.
New Zealand's a little surprising.
I can't remember. I think Europe might, but I don't fully know. The big spray dryers. This is just offhand. 8 months have passed since I've really been into this. Like Tetra Pak is a big one. GEA makes them, and I can't remember a New Zealand company offhand, but those are some of the two big guys.
Mm-hmm.
There's a third player, and I can't remember them offhand. But yeah, there's like a handful that, when you do a big project, you're going to like 3 people.
Yeah.
But so the other thing I was looking at with this, and I kind of been thinking about it ever since I was at Shamball, and like dairy plants, I mean, they're pretty automated. The plant that I worked at in Michigan, they could basically run with like, they had a couple people in the receiving bay, couple operators on the production side. I mean, you could run with like 5 or 6 people and process 3 million pounds a day. Now, obviously, it's a different process than this. So they're pretty automated. But with this, how big a plant this is, I'm just thinking like because they have all sorts of valves and pumps and, VFDs, everything's like, moving A to B, pretty automated. But there's still things, obviously, people have to man, like the control screens. So like you now have to have a lot more sophisticated operator, engineer, controls engineer who can, understand what's going on, because the problems that they'll have are way more complicated than just like hooking a pipe up and flipping a switch.
Yeah.
Being able to like hook a truck up, like a dairy tanker, up to the plant, you got like a swing arm and you got to like make a connection, like that still needs to be automated in some fashion. They also still have to flip up the lid on the dairy tanker so that you don't suck in the tanker.
I feel like that should be the easiest one to automate, man.
Yeah, why is that just built into the trailer?
Well, that's the thing. So the tankers are all, they could all be different.
I guess, yeah, they're all
different. They need different adapters. They could be different sizes. The tankers are all different sizes.
Does the truck driver climb up there, or the dairy plant employee?
There's a dairy plant employee.
So what do they use? A stick?
Get the stick out.
They do got to like ladle. They got a ladle in there to pull out some milk and
take a shot. Take a quick shot.
Sour.
It's good. Pump it.
That's
yeah. They got it they got to test it, for like antibiotics and all that stuff. And then they got to lift the lid up, put a filter. So they put a filter so that nothing can get into it, but it also allows air to not,
Yeah. So there's not
replace
like a duck
the volume
just swimming around in there that you suck in.
Right.
And
then you got to then you hook it. What?
This is dumb. Why do they even put a screen up there if they're filtering it at like the micron level, sub-micron? Like, even if a duck falls in there, what's it matter?
Because that will clog up your filter quickly.
Well, one, you're gonna well here's as soon as it comes out of the tanker, you're gonna hit a centrifugal pump, so it's gonna like shear the hell out of that duck. And then now you've got all these like organs that are
duck organs just floating around,
and they're going to filtered out. It's part of
they're going to a silo. Yeah, they're going to a silo, and now you've got these like floating organs on top of this milk that's going up and down, and eventually,
everything gets filtered out.
Yeah.
So you're telling me there's some opportunity in the milk unloading marketplace,
but it's not standardized. And how do you standardize that across all these little dairies?
Well, we gotta start looking at trailers.
You'd have to start.
But like, could you make like a universal adapter that you can just like automate? Like they dock to the space station automatically. Why the fuck can't we pump milk automatically?
Exactly. But I bet there's one trailer that is the predominant trailer in the marketplace.
Yeah.
But then you have the oddball. It's the 80-20 rule, 80% of the time you'll be fine. But then, this truck from the 70s that's
sell the 80% of the marketplace. We're trying to get rich, not fucking solve world hunger.
You'd have to like change. Yeah. You'd have to like state by state, you'd have to like mandate certain tank. Well, actually, no, it's plant by plant, because some plants may have like what they call like a captive fleet, which they have. It's all their say it's all their own farms feed that dairy plant, so they could standardize and then they could automate it. But it's like a plant this size, they're getting potentially 80 to 160 trucks a day. Good chance that, and they're taking it from 2 different suppliers. Very good chances they're not going to be standardized trucks.
So you have 3
maybe
different.
This is another thing to talk about when we're having our cheese charcuterie board, because I have some ideas already about automation, but it's just expensive. But yeah, because it's no different than processing like large automotive parts. It's the exact same thing. You just need a camera system that can identify some kind of common geometry.
Man, all you have to do is throw a vision system into a project.
You're golden.
Then it takes off. People love the term vision system right now,
but they don't love the price of it.
They're getting pretty. It's getting pretty cheap though.
Burned. You haven't been burned yet.
Say vision system and cobot done. You can work alongside the robot.
Ford's so safe that we have cobots that we put
in cages,
fences around. Yeah,
that's so like these stupid. Robots that there's an ISO. There's an ISO standard for it. Like the whole reason they made cobots, like they wrote up an ISO standard for it.
I know. Doesn't matter. I could send you a picture tomorrow. I could probably send it right now.
Why bother then? Just buy a freaking ABB that can pick up the car rather than a cobot that can pick up 20 kilograms.
Well, it's the application. Like cobots mountings are different than your standard. what are they? IBR series robots or whatever.
Yeah, do they have
Yeah, they
different
all
like
make one. KUKA,
foundation
ABB, FANUC,
requirements?
blah blah blah. But yeah, we're so safe that we
Is
don't use
Cobot
cobots to their fullest extent.
so cobots you could retrofit them a lot easier than like an ABB where you need to probably like cut out the floor and pour new foundation potentially.
No, like cobots is just
They have like
it's not a
force feedback plus
like taking a step back. It's not a marketing term, but it's collaborative
yeah.
robot. So like what Matt said, they have force feedback. So like they're all sizes. They're not like as big as what you're talking about, Corbin. They're more like a large workbench would be able to like support all of their payload capabilities.
Yeah.
Like maybe 12.5 kilograms max payload.
Some are getting pretty big. I think Universal Robots put out one that could pick up like 40 kilograms.
Sure. And then like Matt said, like it has force feedback, so as soon as you like bump it with the back of your hand, it shuts off.
Yeah. But like there's a certain speed you can operate at too, so like you're not gonna be like breakneck speed like you would be.
Yeah.
And like the ISO standard has like end of arm tool stuff too, like, which is why I don't understand you're putting in a cage if you can just follow the ISO standard. And...
It's not in a cage. It's a laser barrier.
Oh, whatever. You're still wasting money.
I'm protecting my people. Yeah, but they're pretty interesting. They're pretty cool.
They're fun to play with.
Yeah.
Yeah, that so like in the dairy plant that would probably come in downstream when everything's in a package, like these.
Yeah.
Although they still use like the ABB or FANUC, like the 20 kg bags. They've got like the little arm, grab it and
so it's just palletizing,
stack a pallet, palletizing and that type of thing.
In aviation we're kind of low volume, which like automation hasn't lent itself well to just because of cost. Right. But like with I was able to get a cobot at my last job and able to do a few things with it just because it was so cheap. But like with a dairy plant where you're doing the same thing over and over again, you might be better off going with an ABB or something that you don't really care about and just throw a cage around it. But like when you're doing a lot of variation, you don't always get a good ROI with a expensive robot.
Makes sense. Another thing. There's a couple of things about automation that I was thinking about. But have you guys seen any automated loading of like a semi trailer?
Have you seen any of that? Are you talking about Boston Dynamics weird little ostrichy looking robot? I think that might have been unloading.
I've never seen anything. I don't know.
I think if you look up like Boston Dynamics ostrich, I don't know. It's called something like that, but it was for unloading. They're working on like unloading. I don't know if they're working on loading too, just because it's like one of those like strenuous, like awful jobs to do, but like it's done everywhere.
That's where I could see some difficulty, like just trying to. I mean, all semi trailers are the same. They're the same,
pretty much standardized
shape, standardized. And if you have pallets that are you've already got the order sitting there outside, in your warehouse, there's got to be an easy way to, automate that somehow. But the only other thing in like a dairy that I can think about that needs work on automation are like manual hookups of like tanks and specialty equipment like the cheese vats. You still have, like the cheese vats, you have this manway that you got to open. You've got to like cut these people, they have cheese makers that still cut the curd and make sure that, that the milk is setting up properly.
So is that all done by like feel?
Well, smaller plants, yes. I think they're turning to more automation. They have are developing sensors that can
give some quantitative
like where the curd's at. Right. So I think that would just be a thing that needs to like just keep moving in an automation direction. So I think a cheese vat could eventually be fully automated. The silos, the big tall silos you'll see, those still require quite a bit of a manual hookup. Like they've got a door that you've got to open when it's empty and you're going to go to clean it, because the cleaning aspect, um, you have to have the door open. Otherwise, you could potentially suck that thing in while you're cleaning it, because you're spraying it with hot CIP solution. So like 160, 170 degree solution. And then say you're chasing it, you're rinsing it after that at a potentially 50-degree solution. So that can cause all sorts of problems. You don't want to heat shock it. So those are all things that they got to, basically you just got to size your vents right. But as soon as you start adding to make like engineers sign off on these tanks to be able to clean them with the door closed, you'd have to have these huge vents on them, 8-10 inch. And now those are things that you now have to clean because it's a food plant.
Mm-hmm.
Basically anything that could potentially see product, you have to be able to clean it in some way. So you try to minimize the amount of surface area.
Yeah.
So I think there's, and I have heard that they make silos that you can clean with the door closed and it's all automated. But I think in the not too distant future, you could have what's called like a lights out facility where you don't really need an operator in a dairy plant. It can just go from the receiving all the way to finished, and
yeah,
you may not need to see a person.
But when you're in the middle of nowhere, St. John, Lansing, paying an operator, $15 an hour, your ROI might not be there.
Right. Yeah, you can pay for them to hook up the silos for CIP and general walk around, and there's still like all sorts of sanitation requirements, that they have to swab different pieces of equipment, make sure there's no
so maybe New
coliform.
New Zealand or Europe will lead the way with their higher labor prices.
Yeah, that's probably where it'll happen. Well, that's it. Food industry.
So there's a lot of automation opportunities.
I think there is in most industries. There's just not the pressure to do it.
Yeah, it's all about the money.
Yeah. And when labor's cheap.
I think this whole truck vent gizmo is something you should talk about.
We'll start making trailers for milk.
No, we don't need to make the trailer. We just need to make the gizmo. You just gotta sell the gizmo.
That's true. Just make the gizmo, patent it, and then.
That's right.
What's the gizmo you're trying to make? The adapter?
I don't know. Yeah, I've never seen a dairy trailer up close.
Pops up, and then just slides the filter in. Or just have the filter already preloaded. Why isn't the filter in there the whole time?
Oh, in the top manway?
Yeah.
I don't really know. Who knows what happens at the dairy farm?
Yeah.
Dairy trailer for sale.
So I think a lot of the dairy trailers you'll see, they're made by, if you look at Wabash National, there's a company that Wabash National owns that makes a lot of the trailers. Now they make the 50,000 pound. Okay, go to wabashnational.com/brand/Walker. That has a couple good pictures.
Send the link in the chat off the right here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Shit.
We'll cheat. There we go.
I forgot we have a chat.
I don't know why they don't have a screen share though. Okay.
These are 65 gallons, not pounds.
So what So this is what they got to do. So if you're looking at that picture, there's that stainless screen on the bottom. Like, so you kind of can see where the outlet of it is, right?
Yeah, the butt end there.
Yeah. So see that blue, there's like a blue, I think it's like a tag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That I'm pretty sure that they seal it at the dairy farm, and then the plant will has to break it, because you're like now like transferring the custody of the milk.
This is farm. Like some Teamster fucking stealing meat bullshit. Oh, I don't know where my sticker is. What is that? The Irishman that's in that movie?
I think these are all like regulations, like the interstate milk shippers and Michigan dairy
blows
regulation.
My mind how we're trying to like go to decentralized finance, and at the same time we're certifying tanks with stickers.
Hey man,
what are we doing with our lives? Sorry, go ahead.
So that that adds a little kink into our automation, where now we have to have like this little automated
snipper
scissor guy.
Done. That's so easy.
Done. 2D matrix.
And then we've got to unscrew this stainless cover, and then I don't know if they'll show it.
This big cover?
Yeah, they got to unscrew that.
Boom, done.
But even then, you could make a custom cap to make it even easier. If you need like some
locating... Yeah, sell everyone a new cap. If you want to use our automation, you need a new cap.
Just make like locating pins or something.
I was just going to find this diameter with a camera and then like put a 3-jaw chuck around it and spin it.
But like, I would just fucking add like 2 fucking holes to it and just have like 2 prongs come in and just... Although it doesn't matter.
Okay. Look, I sent you another image.
Listen, you 2 idiots. You see
so
this shit, now what do you do?
Oh, so that's all up in there. There's doors on that one.
Well, yeah. So this is like I'm not sure. This is obviously a different type, but this is the same premise. You have the outlet, and then you usually have like an elbow. It doesn't necessarily have to be an elbow, but you've got it's usually like a 3-inch, could be 4-inch. I think there are some that are like 6-inch connections, and it's usually could be like a bevel seat. Basically, it's like a nut. There's like a nut that you have to actually screw on there. So there's a thing. So you've got, let me send you the next thing. It's like a beverage or dairy industry 101 right here. Bevel seat.
Corbin, don't you miss work?
I like the ideas of this stuff, but it's
most things in life.
The day-to-day.
Yeah, it's most things in life. It all sucks.
Yeah, here we go.
We can't be the first. There's got to be somebody who put out like some like next generation dairy tanker and like showed it off at trade shows, and then like everyone's just like, "Fuck you, we're not updating it."
No, there probably is.
This is literally just a tube
with a gasket.
Okay, fancy. So Matt's in aviation, just like laughing his ass off. He's like, "This is what you think is fancy."
Well, how do you automate connecting that up,
dude? Like, there's got to be some sort of liquid. I mean, we fuel up fighter jets midair.
Yeah,
I think we can handle pumping.
You got to do it sanitary. That's the thing.
Just make like some like disposable gasket or something each time. Just like some compression gasket or something that goes on like the ass end, just like, fucks the truck.
If this lower tube is in some kind of known position, and then you put this like clean gasket with like a 2-finger loader, and then you do like this somehow sanitary, which is totally doable because we make like valve bodies in clean rooms. So like, boop, 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 totally fine. And then where did my picture go? And then you just like, you'd have to do it like in an orientation where it's not going to go. But yeah, then and then I don't know how you do the wing nut action, but that couldn't be that
just
hard.
Do you really even need the wing nut if you have enough compression? I mean, I guess you run the chance of draining
if you don't have it seal, if you don't have it like just right, it could leak.
Yeah, but there's different ways to seal up than
one
a
drop.
hex
Like,
nut.
who the hell cares? You have only a 10% yield anyways. Why are we crying about one drop? Even if we lost a whole truck, you're still only at 10% yield. Who cares?
Oh, they care.
I know they care. I get it.
I think another way. I think I might have heard about this in the past, but I think GEA has a video of this on YouTube. I think another way you could unload a dairy tanker, and so you're trying to hook it up to like the suction of a pump in the case we've been describing. But I think there's another way where if you could somehow, maybe you would change the back end of the truck to where it can just dump that 50,000 pounds into like a sump, and then from there you can automate it away.
But then you're cleaning
so now
out
you're
a
not
sump.
trying to. What's that?
Then you're cleaning out a sump.
Yeah, but you can automate that pretty easily because that'll be a stationary.
Yeah, so maybe we're overthinking this. Just gravity drain into the sump.
Yeah. Why doesn't like the truck get some kind of like Matt was saying, like the aircraft carrier refueling, like something comes out and like you stake a inlet. Again, sanitary, there has to be some way to just like.
So the thing, so you got to think as the fluid in the pipe, it cannot hit like any sort of crevice, like it can't hit threads, it can't hit like any sort of it just can't hit anything that where you couldn't clean it. Like it's got to be a smooth, impervious surface. That's what makes it tricky, because you could just like compression it on, but now who knows what the inside of that looks like, and stuff could gum it up, and there could be.
I'm not being like
E. coli or whatever,
obtuse or combative, but like again, like if we're super filtering it and then pasteurizing it, why do we care? because the rules say so, because the laws say so. I get that, but like the laws,
that's a lot of it. That's a lot of it. Yeah,
because the laws were written at a time where like we didn't know how to do things cleanly, and so like at this point, I don't know. But then when you change the laws, like people let things slide, blah blah blah, and you get Teamsters and the Irishmen, all over again. So I hear you.
It's a combo. Yeah. Yeah, it's a tricky one.
Well, we can talk about it at the marathon.
Let's just buy it like a used Cobot and find a bullshit reason to use it.
Opening beers.
Actually, so at my last job, I was working at Cobot, and then my buddy went to Vegas, and he saw that there was like an automated like drink server, and it was using the exact same fucking Cobot that we had. I was like, God damn, we just need to steal our Cobot and set up a bar.
Were they filling it from the bottom?
No.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Were they actually doing the handle?
Yeah.
That's cool.
What is it? Royal Caribbean uses like the Cobots.
Yeah.
Or the ABB
to make
robots.
Cocktails.
Yeah, to make cocktails. I mean, it's not that hard. You just buy it and tell it what to open.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw one of those at a trade show, but it was from the bottom fill.
Yeah, I've seen those. But then you gotta buy special cups.
Right.
That's right. For the dairy industry.
We'll fill your milk from the bottom. Why would I want that? It's different.
Because it came with a blue seal. All right, it's 10 o'clock.
All right.
I'm out. I gotta go finish watching Below Deck.
Oh, man.
What do you think what do you think of the new girl? Yeah.
She's awful.
Yeah, she's a deckhand and she's being a stewardess. Like,
there's the whole
are you guys just going to form a podcast about Below Deck? I think that might be more successful than what we're doing right now.
I mean, that's just pretty interesting. I like it.
You could come up with such a catchy title like Below Deck. Let me think on that. I feel like Below Deck
It's so
really
catchy.
offers.
Hold on, let me think about it.
It offers itself like something with Deck. Like just add one more word to it. Not like Below Deck After
Dudes
Hours. Like
Below
that sounds
Deck.
like
They already have that. I think that's what the actual talk show is called. Maybe.
oh son of a bitch.
Oh yeah, every show's got like a show that talks about it afterward.
It's true.
Yeah, I mean, like Walking
Rick and
Dead
Morty
was
has
first.
one.
Rick and Morty has one.
Yeah, I think
Shit,
so.
I didn't know that.
I don't know if it's technically like a
Official
talk show, but they do like a after the episode, with the producer, directors, whatever.
Damn, I didn't know that. Wow, really? Every show does.
I don't know about every show, but I have seen it where they like start going into the whoever does the voices, and I don't know if it has a small crew or what.
Below Deck Overboard.
No, I think that's an actual podcast. I think that's an actual podcast.
Goddamn. Below Deck Drowned to Death.
All we talk about is the alcohol scenes.
Yes, you got to find your niche.
We only review the most outrageous Below Deck alcohol-induced scenes.
Well, the previous charter guests, man, they were pounding some drinks,
they
weren't they?
Like massive either, so like they must like try to be fit, or they like don't.
Yeah,
eat.
I mean, they were like they made it like a mission. Like, we want lots of drinks and we want them now.
I like the Tito's and tea thing. I might have to try that.
Oh yeah, did you have to make that on the morning back?
They were making like canned Lipton peach tea and Tito's. And I was like, all right, I can see that.
I did an Arnold Palmer with vodka. That wasn't too bad.
Solid. You put vodka in anything.
You can.
All right.
We'll do the Below Deck podcast the next time.
Of course.
Thanks for listening to the show. We'll be back with you next time.